Welcome to the Third Knock podcast. Today, we're going to talk about things you should avoid when trying to start a business or law firm. An attendapreneur. It's not a real word. I made it up. But you're going to recognize this person immediately. 40 tabs open right now, 3 courses paid, never finished, a notebook from a summit back in March with genuinely good notes in it. Real ones, useful ones. Yeah, they typically can explain funnels, offer lead magnets, positioning, the whole vocabulary. They know more about business than half the people actually running one. And they have never asked for money once. Every time you talk to them, it's the same thing. I'm almost ready. One more course, one more event, one more thing I've got to figure out first, right? That's an attendapreneur. Always one event away from starting and somehow never starting. Now, here's the uncomfortable part. And it's the whole reason I'm doing this episode. Right now, most of you listening are picturing somebody else. Some of you have already got a specific person in your head. Sit with that for a second. Because this thing never feels like it from the inside. From the inside, it feels like being responsible. It feels like doing your homework. So here's how today goes. First half, I'll show you exactly what it looks like, why it feels so much like progress, and the real reason people stay stuck in it. And it's not the reason you think. Second half, I'm handing you the whole business. Every piece you actually need, start to finish in about 12 minutes, shorter than any course you have bought. Let's get into it. You're not behind because you don't know enough. You're behind because you haven't done anything with what you know. And why it feels like progress. So why does being an attendapreneur feel like you're making progress? You're in a room full of ambitious people. That alone feels like moving up. The information is genuinely good. That's exactly what makes it dangerous. You leave energized, you have real notes, you did nothing. All the progress lives in notebooks, screenshots, and unfinished plans. Learning gives you the feeling of building without the risk of building. Information is not implementation. Inspiration creates momentum. Only action creates results. It's not a bad thing to learn. It's not a bad thing to get this information, but it can become a habit. It can become this cycle and this loop. How do I know? Because I've done it. I was an attendapreneur. I know. At one point, I was going to all these events and summits and things. Now, there's another shiny object syndrome. Now, that's the same disease, but a different symptom. It's when you're buying every tool, system, CRM, app, and subscription on the market. The CRM before you have a single contact. A scheduling app before you have appointments. Buying a tool takes 20 minutes and it feels like progress. Getting a customer takes weeks and it might end in a no. So, yeah, it could be scary, right? And the cost isn't the money, it's the switching. You never get good at anything because you're always migrating. You're always going from one tool or one shiny object to the next. Attending and buying are two socially acceptable ways to not start. You don't have a CRM problem or a tool problem. You have a nobody to put in it problem, right? That's the real problem. But attending is safe. Launching isn't. Making the call isn't, publishing isn't, putting a price on it and asking for the sell isn't. Nobody gets brought up in a break room. So you end up highly educated about success without ever having to build anything successful. If you stopped preparing this week, what would you actually have to risk? You got to break out of that cycle. Action, action, action. You did the lights, you did the camera. Now it's time for action. Not another course, not another summit, not another webinar. It is time to take action. And I don't care if you're terrible at it. Look at me. I'm on a camera. I hate this. I have social anxiety. Right now, I don't want to be in front of this camera. I want to turn this off. I want to shut it down. I want to go to bed. I want to work on a client. I'm taking that time out because I have to face my own challenges. And my own challenges overcoming some of my social anxieties. I've come a long way. Come a very, very long way. At one point, I'm throwing up in their trash can. How embarrassing. Yeah, good times. So yeah, but I thought about turning around and running. I went in, I pitched it. I actually landed them. Now that we're over why I'm doing this and why I'm here, we got to push ourselves. If you aren't pushing yourself to do something uncomfortable every day, we're not growing. So let's do something with what you've acquired, that information. Let's get you from being an attendapreneur into entrepreneurship, because that's what this is all about. It's about the freedom. It's about the making more. Maybe you're tapped out in your business. Taking time off is like pulling teeth. So let's go from that into having a real system in place to where you can actually send an invoice, to where you actually feel comfortable asking for money. So instead of attending another webinar or another summit or another sales course or another training or buying another shiny tool, you got to ask yourself, is this something that people actually want? And you got to really sit down and think that through, because services, trading your time in exchange for money, right? A product is slower, but scales to unbelievable heights. Either way, the test is the same. Has anyone paid for this? Or do they just say that's cool? Because if somebody's paying for it, that's a good sign. You got to ask yourself, is this something people actually want? You can tap into a demand, but creating a demand is a way different scenario. Then you need a way to be contacted, right? Sounds easy enough. Email, a phone number. You should have a website, probably social medias. People build an entire brand and sometimes they bury the phone number. So if you have a website, make sure that that phone number is easy to be found. Maybe a hover call button, maybe plenty of call to actions going through the page. They should not have to search for a way to contact you. And so what I go to it and see how long it takes for a stranger to find your number. Go to a family member or a friend and go like, will you go to my website, take a look at it, and as they're looking at it, say, hey, what's my phone number? And have them go searching for it. Time how long it takes them to find it. It should be under a few seconds, 5 seconds. If they can't find it, you need to fix that. You need a way to be found, right? Customers, clients, they need to be able to find you. So you got to have a plan. What is your plan to be found? Are you going to run some ads? Because if you have a website, you could run some ads, right? Run some ads on Google, run some ads on social media. Maybe you're going to do SEO, search engine optimization. Maybe you want to show up organically. Maybe you're going to do a blog and you're going to really publish a lot of good content about all the things that you know and what makes you great at it. You got to have a strategy on how to bring in those clients or those customers, because until then you're not getting paid. And positioning, this is where most people fail the most. Because most people, when we come into being an entrepreneur or starting our own thing, your law firm or whatever you're starting, your mindset is one has been trained. Everywhere around us is ads. Everywhere around us is marketing. But generally, most of the marketing we're exposed to are big brands and companies that are in fast food, that are in grocery stores or Netflix or some of these different things. So when you're being marketed these companies or these big corporations, we start to believe that discounts, because you'll see Netflix, oh, first month free or this or this. You see that introductory coupon or discount come into play. And the majority of us translate that into, how do we position ourselves or compete? By price. So if we're competing by price, well, congratulations. You're on a race to the bottom. And someone out there is willing to go broke before you. That's the name of that game. So do not position yourself to be broke. You need to position yourself as a certain thing. So what are you trying to position yourself as? As an example, if you Nike, you probably are like, oh, it's a sports athletic company, right? So positioning, like as an example, if you need a luxury watch, most people are going to think of Rolex. If you need fast shipping or you need something quickly shipped to you, Amazon. So all of these companies kind of position themselves at different things. Like if you looked at Domino's Pizza, their positioning was the delivery pizza experts, right? So they were positioning as delivery, as to where Pizza Hut at one point was more of a dine-in restaurant, believe it or not. That was their positioning, and they had a pivot. So you want to position yourself to basically every time somebody needs your product or service, you come to mind, right? So if they need, as an example, I'd position myself as an attorney marketer or an attorney SEO provider because that's who I work with. So I don't want a plumber going, oh, I should hire Nate because, this, because even though I'm great at it, in fact, I used to be a plumber, but that's irrelevant. That's not what I'm trying to position myself as. So keep that in mind when you're building your business or law firm. What is your positioning? Are you the premium service? Are you the company that does things a little bit differently? Are you, what makes you, why should they hire you and not the guy down the street or the gal down the street? Why should they hire you? And you got to ask yourself that because they are. Why should they hire you? And I'm going to tell you right now, the majority of you are going to go, because I'm the best. I'm the best. And you'll hear people repeat that over and over again. We're the best. Well, what does that mean? Because you're saying you're the best. I just talked to a guy down the street. He says he's the best. I talked to a gal up the street. She said she's the best. So think that through. What is your positioning? If you're a restaurant, maybe you're known for having the best burgers in town. So you probably don't want to be talking about your steaks or your chicken or whatever else that may be because you have the best burgers in town. So you're going to lead with that. Or maybe you have the best French fries. Maybe you're a plumber and you show up the same day because most plumbers don't. Same day plumbing or whatever. But you want to be position yourself as I'm the guy that shows up when nobody else will, or a gal. I show up today. You don't have to schedule 2 weeks out while your basement floods. Positioning. Positioning is what you say about yourself. And then you got to go into the proof. And the proof is what everyone else says about you, right? So you need some proof. You can't just go in saying that I know all these things. You need some proof. As an example, when somebody comes and they're ready to hire me or close to, we have the discussion of, okay, let me show you some of the projects that I'm allowed to share, and let me show you what we've done and how we've done it. And then let me provide you with some referrals and people who I've worked with in the past and people I currently work with. So you can know every angle and you can get more information along the way. I also volunteer a lot of my time. I do a lot of things for pro bono. I just help people out sometimes. Proving to them that, hey, I did, or let Nate implement a little bit and he showed me, he knew what he was talking about. It helped me. It worked. What more can he do for me to increase my business? Okay. So you need the proof. You need credentials, certificates, awards, press or news articles, TV segments, reviews, testimonials, case studies. And that's going to take you a little bit to build, but that's the point. And then you build up these things, and that proof helps back up that you're not just making things up, right? The other thing I see, lack of asking. You need to ask. So even on your website, you need to ask. You need a contact form. You need call now buttons. Maybe a chat bot. Maybe a way for can reach out on WhatsApp or text you. Everyone has a different preferred way of reaching out, and usually this is determined by your generation. My generation and older are more likely to pick up the phone and call, especially if we have a lot of questions or we are learning about something because we want to talk to somebody. We don't want to text back and forth for 4 hours to ask 15 minutes of questions. But other generations, they want to text. Other generations, they like the contact forms because maybe they're at work, maybe they're busy at the moment, but they don't want to forget about it. And some people like chatbots because it feels interactive. So, how to stay out of the trap? Pick one action, put it in the calendar with a date so you know that you can get it done. I typically would recommend a 90-day tool freeze or a 90-day webinar or summit freeze. Use what you already have. You don't need a tool to help you organize all of your clientele or your sales when you have 0 sales, right? You don't need that. You don't need another summit about another business idea or another brand when you haven't built one. Then the other big one that I like is you match your hours. So if you spend 4 hours at a summit, you spend 4 hours of action and implementation. You judge yourself on output, right? Not input, not what you learned this month. It's very hard to build, and there's a lot of anxiety behind it. Some people fear, just don't know what to do. And buying another course, another tool isn't going to get you any closer. It just isn't. You're either going to do it or you're not. The events you attend instead of working are taking up time that you need to build. That's it. And I've given you the things that help build a real business. And if you don't have a logo, you probably should get one, even though that necessarily doesn't even have to happen until you've made your first sale. It really doesn't. If you're past that point and you have customers or have had a customer, then you need to implement more, asking for reviews, making sure those other things that I talked about. Don't make people search how to contact you. Don't make them search. They've already searched hard enough. Landed on your website is great, but if they have to search for a phone number, that might just be it. They might just go, I'm going back. They're going to go back and they're going to find someone else that's easier to contact. And I'll probably do an episode on what happens after somebody actually contacts you and how you get paid and how you keep that relationship building and how you leverage everything and how you can keep them happy and how you can even get them to refer you. But, don't be one event away, be one action in. Build it. If events help you, that's great, but make sure you're matching hour per hour, because real growth comes from action and doing what we need to do. It doesn't come from somebody inspiring us or somebody telling us about what they built or handing them your money, because that's the opposite of building a business. No, you're building somebody else's business, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But a lot of people get caught up into being an attendapreneur, and that's when we attend all these things, do all these things, and we don't build anything. And the sad thing is they end up knowing a lot of things about what they need to do, and that makes it harder, because then you're like, oh, well, I know what I got to do. I'm just not doing it. And it feels like you're building something because you're attending each one after another. So get out there, build it. If you have any questions, drop them below. Don't make me bust out the puppet again. I hope this helps you. If this even helps one person, then I've done my job. If this helps 10 people, awesome. But this is a trap, and you got to recognize it for what it is. Knowledge and information is great, but we live in a digital era where knowledge and information is at our fingertips. It really, truly is. We can literally get and access anything you want. You can look it up on YouTube. You can look it up on Google. You got AI. You have all data is available to you practically for free. So why are you paying somebody to get that motivation for them to hold your hand? Oh, I need more information. I need to wait. Don't wait. Just do it. I'm sure this isn't going to be a great video because I don't have a lot of experience on video. I have a lot of experience in the business. I have a lot of experience in talking to potential clients and clients. I'm not a salesperson. I'm an SEO guy. I got into marketing because I didn't want to deal with a lot of people. I didn't know I had to be a salesperson. I didn't know that I had to have these systems in place. I didn't know that I had to talk to people and explain what I do. I didn't know, even being in a marketing position, you have a lot to learn. You have to put on a lot of hats. And don't let it discourage you. That's the other thing. You start building and you get discouraged, right? Because let's say that you did a video and it got a few views. You're like, oh man, no one cares. Why am I doing this? Clearly I'm doing it wrong. I need more training. Back to being an attendapreneur. Or I did this and it didn't work. Just give you an idea. I was told that you have to do about 100 videos before people even care. Don't know if that's because I have to refine myself or if that's what it takes to build an audience. I don't know. Video is not really my thing. I'm learning. I'm doing this over and over and over. You might not be very good at the beginning, but over time, you're going to get better. 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 And then you're going to go, you know what? I feel pretty confident. My CRM, or how the way that I'm keeping track of my clients, really sucks. This Google Sheet just isn't working anymore. Now I'm going to need to go and figure out a CRM or a way to solve that specific problem. Right? Solve that problem. But in the beginning, your problem isn't going to be solved by these. You got to get out. You got to go take action. Stop the video now. Go build. Anyway, Nathan Olsen, I do this podcast. If you want to be a guest, message me on Facebook. Post a comment on one of my posts. Tell me you want to be a guest. Let's get you on here. Let me help you. Take care. Hope this was informational. I'm still getting the hang of it, just like you. Take care.